Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming Podcast. Today is the 8th July of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I am one of your hosts for the evening, the second being Tygergamer. Hey Tiger, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How about you?
I'm actually doing pretty fine. Bit melancholic, but otherwise really good.
Oh yeah. And just let everybody know, I'm streaming from my phone network. So please bear with us.
Yeah,
for today.
There are possibly some technical difficulties going to happen today, but we're going to try to speed up today's podcast a bit so anything doesn't happen. So let's get straight into it. Tiger, tell me, what have you been playing this week?
Well, of course, I played some of Red Faction Guerrilla, the remastered edition.
And what did you think of it?
Well, I would say pretty much all they did was upgraded they just upped the revolution a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much the rest of the game is still the same.
Shoot shit and make it explode?
What's that?
Shoot shit and make it explode?
Yep. With a little bit of jank in there. But hey, it's a game for 2009. What can you do?
Yeah, it's been a different time. Like, people just don't realize how long it has actually been since 2009. It's close to 10 years at this point.
Yeah, really.
Like seriously, there are kids that were born when this game hasn't been released, when this game was released already, that are already going to school.
Yeah.
It's just, insane.
Yeah, it is.
So are you happy with the remaster?
Oh, yeah. Yep. The main reason why I picked it up is because, in all honesty, like, one of the things, like, the main mechanic of the game that is way ahead of its time is the destructibility of the buildings in the game.
Yeah, I still think that's a feature that gets underused these days. Yeah,
it does.
I do understand why the physics required for it tend to be quite, costly in terms of performance. But when it's done right, it's spectacular.
Yes.
So, do you recommend it? Do you think people should pick it up?
Well, if you haven't played it, or if you like the game, if you played the game back in the day and you're nostalgic for it, give this game a try if you really want to. But if you're not a big fan of destruction and you don't want jank in your games, don't get it. But also, I would like to say this. One thing that you might not know is if you've owned it on the PC, like on Steam, if you already own the game on Steam, you actually get the game for free. Get the upgraded version for free. So.
Oh, that's a good deal from the developers. That's very nice of them.
Yeah, but yeah, $30. Not a bad price for it.
No, that sounds like a recommendation to me. So I myself have actually been playing a bit of a web browser game this week. That sounds insane, I know. So this game called Dicey Dungeons is from Terry Cavanagh, who you may know. He's the creator of such games as Super Hexagon, VVVVVVV, or Tiny Heist.
Yeah.
And he made this little project, more like a side thing. And it's actually been a pretty successful thing. It's a little roguelike dungeon crawler. And it's super fun. And it's... At the moment, you can play it for free, at least the version 0.9. And he has actually decided to make this into a bigger project. So he's moved the game to a site, I don't remember its name at the moment, but where you can buy the version .10 for $7.50. I personally wouldn't pay $7.50 for this game just because it gets a bit repetitive after a moment. But once he gets a bit more content into it, you know, more bosses, more monsters, more encounters, etc., etc., yeah, I would definitely pay $7 for this. And most of all, I really want to see this appear on mobile. It has a super simple interface. Like literally, there are just a few dice that you push to a box, and if the number is correct, you can use it. And there technically is a way to play it on mobile right now. The game is coded in HTML5, and most mobile browsers these days do support that. So technically, you could just go to his website and play one of the older versions. I actually did it a few times. It does have a few issues. Like, for example, it doesn't really go to true full screen mode. So we have, like, black bars around the game. So if you have a smaller phone, it's not that well playable. But let's say if you have a 6-inch phone, yeah, you're going to have no problems playing this. And especially it's really playable on a tablet that has access to internet. And it's a good dungeon crawler, probably the best dungeon crawler available for phones, even though it's a web browser game. And I really cannot wait for his full version. And let me just quickly find where he's moving it. Man, I do not see where he moved it. So, yeah, it's on itch.io. And at the moment, it's using some placeholder art, music, etc., etc. But it's expected to come out this fall. And if it will be under $10, yeah, go for it. It's a good dungeon crawler. So, what else have you been playing?
I also got to play some of Vampire with the Y.
I'm still... In my brain, it's still called Vampire. It's just... That would be the pronunciation in Czech. But how did you enjoy that?
So far, actually enjoying it quite a bit. I will say that the game is not without its problems, of course, with any game. Like, the game does not have a difficulty setting, and the way they have that implemented into the game is, if you rather want the game to be harder, you don't prey on innocent citizens. But also, that right there, that mechanic, like, so far, I've not felt the need to power up just by preying on the innocent. So,
well, maybe you're just good.
Yeah, maybe so.
But, yeah, I've heard good things about Vampire. I really don't know how exactly to pronounce the name. But yeah, I've heard good things. Would you give it a recommendation?
I would say wait until a price drop to give it a try.
What price? It's still on $60?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's $60 still on Steam because, oh, well... Maybe it is now, but I'm not sure whether it was part of... Oh, it's $50 on PC. So would you recommend it at $50?
I'll say more like 40.
Okay, well, probably in the winter Steam sale we will get to see that. Maybe even in the autumn one, if we get an autumn one.
Yeah, but also on the flip side, if you want to play a game where you can be a vampire lurking in the night, go and give this game a try. You might like it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So the second and last game I got to play this week, I actually made already a review of it, and you might remember it. I mentioned it one time in the recommendations. It actually took a long time for this game to appear in the market. It's called Varenia, or probably Varenia, because I think it's developed by a team of Russians. It does mean cooking or compet, you know, like something pickled in Russian. And it's your typical point-and-click adventure with really awesome-looking graphics. Like, really super good. Everything appears hand-drawn, but the style, I think I would call it somewhat complicated. So, you know, usually we get this distinction between the Western and Asian style of drawing shit. But there's also a very distinctive Slavic style. And it's closer to the Western one, no doubt about that. But it's still very distinctively different from the Western style or quote-unquote anime style. And this game is totally done in that Slavic style. And I know a lot of people will not really like this. But for me, it was really nostalgic. Because, you know, I grew up with this style. The cartoons I watched on TV when I wasn't watching Cartoon Network, when I was watching Czech TV, well, this was the style I got to see. And for me, it was just nostalgic. So some people might not like it. Some people might. But mostly I want to say this. The game has a free demo version available. It's the first chapter, so there's really nothing stopping you from just giving it a go, and if you do enjoy it, buy the rest of the game. And if you don't, well, you probably spent like half an hour of your life. Boo-hoo. And if you want to know more of my thoughts on the game, I already have a review available on my personal YouTube channel and on my Steam channel with all of my thoughts more laid out. But in general, yeah, try out the demo and you will see. And that's it for the games I played this week. Have you played anything else?
No, I have not.
Okay, then let's move on to the main section of the show. Let's talk about this week's news. Starting with this week's biggest topic, about the Guild Wars 2 writers who got fired after they attacked the community. So this story is about Jessica Price and Peter Fries, who were two writers working at ArenaNet on Guild Wars 2, and about a YouTuber named, and I'm gonna butcher this name, Derorer, I think. It's a really weird name. I think it's French, but who fucking knows? Who is a well-known Guild Wars 2 content creator. And the story essentially started by Jessica Price talking about being a writer for MMOs. And she posted a pretty lengthy quote-unquote blog article, but on Twitter for some goddamn reason. And let me just read quickly out of this. Just a little piece because this part really isn't that important to the story. But she said, "The dirty secret is that I'm not sure if it's even possible to make an MMORPG or CRPG character compelling, because people have different expectations about what the character will be as opposed to pre-designed character in a single-player game." And sure, I can see where she is coming from. What do you think about her saying that? Does that sound like a plausible expectation?
Yeah. Me personally, I find more compelling characters in single player games than I do in multiplayer games, so and that's just me.
Yeah, and in what she said, I actually do agree with her. MMOs tend to be harder to create characters, at least character arcs for the main character. But, you know, the YouTuber Derorer came in and had a little bit of his own opinion. I'm actually going to read this. It's quite lengthy, but I want you people and you, Tygergamer, to listen closely to the tone of his tweets. "Really interesting thread to read." And then he added like a, approval emoji. However, allow me to disagree slightly. I don't believe the issue lies in the MMORPG genre itself, as your wording seemingly suggests. I believe the issue lies in the constraints of the Living Stories narrative design. The Living Stories, the way the story is being presented in Guild Wars 2, by the way. When you want the outcome to be the same across the board for all players' experiences, then yes, by design you're extremely limited in how you can construct the personality of the player character. But if instead players were given the option of to meaningfully express their character through branching dialogue options, which also aren't just on the checklist for an achievement that forces you through all dialogue options, then perhaps players would be more invested in the role-playing aspect of that particular MMORPG. Nonetheless, I appreciate the insightful thread. So tell me, how does this sound to you tone-wise?
I would say he is very, very polite about it.
I would say if you tried, it would be very hard to be more polite.
Yeah.
Sadly, or actually, I'm not sure whether sadly, because it actually showed us what sort of a person Jessica Price is. She didn't take his disagreement so well. She insulted him multiple times and tried to use her being a female as a shield. So her tweets read out like this. Today, in being a female game developer, allow me, a person who does not work with you, explain to you how to do your job. That was her first tweet. Her second one said, like the next rando asshat who attempts to explain the concept of branching dialogue to me as if, you know, having worked in game narrative for a fucking decade, I have never heard of it, is getting insta-blocked. And the third tweet said, since we got a lot of hurt man feels today, let me give you something clear. This is my feed. I'm not on the clock here. I'm not your emotional courtesan just because I'm a developer. Don't expect me to pretend I like you here. And Peter Fries jumped in to defend her, essentially claiming that this was her private space on Twitter. And he said,
oh my gosh.
Here's a bit of insight that I legitimately hope he reflects on. She never asked for his feedback. These are our quote-unquote private social media accounts. Imagine you're an astronomer and you start sharing some things you've learned in the last few months since you began a research project observing Saturn, only to have observation techniques explained to you by a layman. So, what the fuck just happened there? I was so baffled when I heard about this. So both of the writers have been very, very quickly fired by ArenaNet. And ArenaNet CEO Mike O'Brien said, recently 2 of our employees failed to uphold our standards of communicating with players. Their attacks on the community were unacceptable. As a result, they are no longer with the company. I want to be clear that the statements they made do not reflect the views of ArenaNet at all. As a company, we always strive to have a collaborative relationship with the Guild Wars community. We value your input. We make this game for you. And that last sentence, we make this game for you, is so freaking important. And it gets just forgotten by so many companies these days. I feel so. I truly do. You're not making the game for yourself. You're not making it for political reason. You're not making it... Literally the reason you're making it is to make fucking money. And to make money, you need to sell the game. And who buys the game? The consumers do. So you need to make the game for the consumer. I'm just baffled by all of this. And honestly, you're laughing, but to me, it's just sad.
I'm laughing because it is sad.
Yeah, everybody has different ways of dealing with sadness, I guess. It's just, for me, it's just like... So I think this may be actually a good time. I've actually got a new job, and I can now publicly announce it. I'm working as a community manager for the upcoming game Chibera, which is going to be an MMO, actually, that's going to include the Steam blockchain.
Yeah.
And just, if I imagine that we hired a writer and he would attack the community in such a way, I would literally go to him and whip his ass like a little kid. I truly would. I would literally go and buy a plane ticket to wherever fuck he lives, take off my belt of my pants, bend him over my knee, take his pants off, and just slap his ass like a little kid. Because that's the behavior of a little kid. Somebody tells you, okay, I disagree with you, and you go, oh, but you're being mean, and I don't like it, and...
Yeah, really?
What the fuck? You're an adult. Learn to deal with criticism. And if you don't want to hear criticism, don't fucking post it on Twitter.
Yeah, don't post it publicly, and stop being such a freaking snowflake about it.
Honestly, I don't think the word snowflake describes it well. Because snowflakes are people who get easily offended. This was just childlike behavior.
Yeah, but still there.
And actually, to give you a bit of context, because there has been a bit of news by the site Rock Paper Shotgun, who has been essentially trying to say that ArenaNet overreacted and they are pandering to their male community, you know, what exactly. And they overreacted. They're essentially saying, why were they fired instantly instead of getting something like a warning? I'm pretty sure Jessica Price was already on a very short leash. To give you a bit of a context, when Total Biscuit died, you know, one of the most famous gaming YouTubers and most influential people in gaming, who sadly passed away recently, this is what she tweeted after he died. The kindest thing I can say is I'm glad he's no longer around to keep doing harm. You really think this person hasn't already gotten a few warnings and hasn't been told, you know, if you do something shitty, we will terminate you? So think about is very hard. Okay, let's move on from the story because I really do not want to talk about it anymore, if you don't mind.
Yeah, same here. I don't want to talk about it either.
And actually from now on, we got, well, mostly positive news. Next one I would call neutral. So, the France gambling regulator, which names I'm again going to butcher because it's freaking French. I think it's pronounced Argel. I don't know, I'm bad at French. I can say my name and ask how are you doing. Essentially said that loot boxes are not a form of gambling legally, based on the definitions under the French law. And it's pretty much that's because you're always winning something in loot boxes. For it to be considered gambling in France, there would have to be a chance for you to win nothing at all. And I would say fair enough. Because I personally view loot boxes as gambling. And I've stated that plenty of times. But I do understand that my own personal view and a legal definition are quite different things. On the other hand, which may be more relevant, they also said that loot boxes rely on creating a feeling of a near miss, similarly to slot machines, which encourages players to keep trying. And also called on other regulators in Europe, specifically the Gaming Regulators European Forum, to take some sort of a collective action on loot boxes. And they didn't state what. They also said they will be taking a continuous look into the risks of loot boxes. So I do not think this is the end from Argel. Argel? Fuck, how the fuck you pronounce that? France, learn to speak normally, please. And that's coming from a person who can say... We literally have a sentence that says...
What?
That's a sentence that literally means push your finger through your throat.
Oh, wow.
And it's a tongue twister, I know, but, you know. it's the perfect tongue twister. But yeah, hopefully in early 19, as Argel said, they are supporting a look at gambling regulation in the online era from the University of Bordeaux. That should take place something in 2019, something early 2019. So we could probably hear a bit more of that sometimes then. Hopefully it will be something we could consider form of regulation. I know we both aren't a fan of regulation on the market, but there are times when it is useful.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and from now on, we actually only have positive news. So let's start with the big one. Let's start with Summer Games Done Quick. So if you don't know what Games Done Quick is, it's a speedrunning event with many games being played. It's really fun to watch. I personally watched the Super Mario Builder, whatever game is called, on Wii U.
Maker.
Yeah, Super Mario Maker, with a few of my favorite Mario streamers who just speedrunned the shit out of levels they saw for the first time. And they weren't easy levels, you know, they were like really hard. There was only one that they didn't manage to complete in the 6-minute time they had for it. But the thing is, this is also a charity event, and this year it was raising funds for the Doctors Without Borders, which is an international charity organization which sends doctors all around the world to help people in need. That's an awesome charity. And they managed to raise a total of $2,127,824 US.
Awesome.
Yeah. This just makes me proud. I actually chimed in myself, only with $20. I really don't have that much cash available to me myself at the moment. But, you know, if it's for a good cause, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So I highly urge you to go watch some of the events. There's plenty of games. Just pick one. If you like Mario in some capacity, be sure to watch the Super Mario Maker one. It's really fun. And there are plenty of others. Did you watch anything from GDQ this year?
No, I did not.
And are you planning to?
No, not really.
You're not a fan of speedrunning?
Sometimes, but I don't watch them that often.
I've actually recently gotten into... There's this YouTube series. I wonder if I can find it. Let me try to quickly find it. About just the progression of world records in different, you know, games. Any percent? Okay, so it's a channel called Retro, and they just have, and also Summoning Salt, there are two channels, and they just map out the history of how the speedruns were conducted, you know, starting that the first real speedrun, and it was so amazing, nobody believed people could play that fucking well. And it starts as, I don't know, like a 40-minute speedrun. and they end at like 13 minutes because they just figure out little tricks here and there and there and there.
Oh, wow.
And the speedrunners are just freaking insane. Some of them. The last one I watched was actually about Pokemon Blue and Red.
Oh, wow.
And that game can be finished in about an hour. Oh, less than an hour, I think. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I cannot. Shoot, now, me personally, I don't videotape this, but, the fastest I ever beat in the game was, Fallout 3. Which only took me like around like 3 hours to beat.
I've never really like attempted speedrunning. I'm not that good at games to do that, and especially not that patient in games to do speedrunning, because essentially it means, oh fuck, I made a mistake. I might as well start over after 20 minutes of playing. But yeah, these people are freaking bonkers, especially if you go into the glitch versions of games. Like there's literally a way to beat Mario, I think 3, the Super Brothers 3, in like 3 minutes total. Because there's a glitch that, you know, you can warp to the 7th world, and then there's a glitch that literally requires like pixel perfect execution of like 6 tricks in like 20 seconds, and then it bugs you out directly to the final screen. But it requires insanely precise controls, and so this was actually executed by one of the kings of Mario at one of the first games done quick. He was just like, you know what, for shizzle, I'm gonna try this. It's most likely not gonna work. Usually it takes me like 600 attempts to get it once. And he just did it first try, live streamed.
Oh, wow.
And if you listen closely, you can literally see him, I think I was like 2 pixels off and it's not gonna work. But it works. It's amazing.
Wow.
Okay, but moving on to the next piece of news. So we got some rumors about a GameCube Classic Edition coming to the market. So these rumors have been sparked because of 3 trademarks made in Japan by Nintendo around the GameCube, and essentially is the same story as last year we had with the Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the news. I wonder, which one would you prefer to see? A Nintendo 64 or a GameCube Classic Edition?
Honestly, I would love to see the N64 before the GameCube. But me personally, I'd love to see both, because I didn't grow up with the NES or the SNES, but I did grow up with the N64 and the GameCube. So I hope these become true.
And I think they are, and I would assume that the Nintendo 64 would come first, not only because, well, we have gotten the patents for it a year earlier, but also it seems that Nintendo is going in chronological order. But honestly, I would prefer to see the GameCube first. My father and his neighbor are still gaming on the GameCube to this day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're still playing whatever version of Mario Kart was available for the GameCube. And this would make for a great like Christmas present for them both.
That is if you can get it before the scalpers get a hold of it.
Oh, it's not that hard here in the Czech Republic. There's not so many scalpers here. Okay, moving on to another great piece of news. We Happy Few is no longer banned in Australia.
Awesome.
So it wasn't banned, really. It just was not allowed to be sold because it didn't receive a rating. We have talked about this in the past already, but now it finally has its rating. It has a rating of R18+, which means it's only going to be available for adults, but I don't think anybody expected anything different. But yeah, that means it's going to be able to be sold, and I'm very happy for them. And the best piece of this is that they didn't have to change a single bit in the game.
Awesome.
And I still don't understand why they didn't get their rating in the first place. I'm betting you somebody like was, oh, the game has drugs, and if you play with the drugs, it's easier? Oh, that's bad. They didn't even like watch the trailers or anything. I'm betting you. I'll be willing to bet you for like my left finger.
Yeah, me personally, when it comes to the rating board of games, even though there's some benefit to them not fully playing a game, I think they would rate the games more fairly if they actually play through the game themselves before they actually put a rating on it.
Well, I can see a problem with that, as many games are not like technically even finished before they are, you know, released.
Yeah.
But they should like get a representative sample of the game, and they should base their opinions off that or something like that. I don't think that would be so hard to do for publishers and developers. For the most part, obviously. For indie game devs, there I could see it causing trouble. You know, they don't have the resources to dedicate to creating like a special version. Okay, and actually this brings us to our last piece of news. So some of you may be familiar with the Funko Company, which creates those little huge-headed figurines of many pop culture anything, pretty much. And they have decided to expand their horizons, and they are going to be producing freaking cereal. And the cereal is just freaking awesome, as it's going to be including few of our favorite characters. So, for example, there's going to be a Mega Man cereal, or a Cuphead cereal. There's also like a Freddy Krueger cereal, Jason cereal, and Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. And I really want to buy this. And I'm still on the verge whether I should buy the Cuphead or the Smeagol one. And I might end up buying both and rationalizing to myself by saying to myself, I will give the Smeagol one to my girlfriend because she's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. But in the end, they will be both mine, my preciouses. So from these ones, so again, there's Cuphead and Mugman Funko cereal, Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger, Jason, Gollum, and Mega Man. Which one of these would you get?
It'd be between Cuphead and Mega Man for me.
Why those two?
Oh, Cuphead. From a design standpoint, he's a pretty cool character, and Mega Man actually grew up playing the game. So
I will say I think the Cuphead one actually looks the best, because even in game, you know, his head is huge, so he doesn't look that out of proportion compared to the rest of the ones. And the same goes for Smeagol to a degree, because you know he's really thin with a big head. Yeah. But especially the Freddy Krueger and Jason, they look freaking weird, and I'm not a fan of horror movies either way, so I don't give a shit about those. And that's it for the news today. Unless you have something you would like to add.
Nope. I do not.
I was considering talking about the most popular games on Steam, which was actually leaked through a little bug in the Steam API. But in the end, I think I talked about it in pretty large detail in yesterday's gaming news. So if you are interested in hearing that, just go watch yesterday's gaming news.
Okay.
I could probably mention the top game that's most played on Steam from the games that do have in-game achievements that are available through Steam is Team Fortress 2.
Not surprising there.
Yeah, it has over 50 million players still. Though Dota was for some reason excluded out of the list, so maybe Dota could rank higher. I'm really not sure.
Possibly.
And the one other game I would like to mention is Rocket League, surprisingly, which was on the 18th spot with around 10 million players still.
Wow.
So that's still doing pretty well. So let's move on to the recommendations for next week. And I will start, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So I would like to start with a game called Curse in Our Heads, which is coming from a developer called Danko Games, and it's a pixel art style adventure 2D detective game. And I just love the pixel art. It's so well done. And otherwise, it's just an adventure game. I don't think there's much really to expect from this that will be super unique, but it looks super cool, and I'm hoping it's going to be good. I've messaged the devs already asking for a review copy. Who knows? Maybe they will answer, maybe they will not. So, what about you? What do you have to recommend? Oh, by the way, Curse in Our Heads is coming out on the 10th.
Okay. Me, I have a game called Octopath Traveler, which is coming out for Switch this Friday.
Mm-hmm. And what can you tell us about it?
It's pretty much like the art style is like a mixture between 3D RPGs with pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
And you play as 8 different characters with different abilities, like a dancer that can allure people to follow her, a warrior that can challenge people to random people to a duel. So I'm going to actually give this game a try when it comes out for Switch later this week.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And the second game I would like to recommend is a game called Beard and Axe, which is coming from a developer called Dwarfet Party, which I would assume that sounds like Norwegian, Swedish. And it's a top-down action-adventure roguelite, again in a pixel art style. And it looks just sweet.
Awesome.
I really like roguelites as they just provide amazing amounts of value. You know, you can just play them freaking forever. And I am proud to announce that this developer has been kind enough to allow me to review his game for free. So, thank you guys. I'm going to review this game. The game is coming out on the 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yes, it's coming out on the 12th. I forgot them to ask about the price. I always freaking forget to ask about the price, and I need to send in a second email asking about the price. Oh damn, my battery in my light just died out.
Oh well, do that. We come close to the end.
Yeah, I forgot to plug it in, so I'm a bit dark. I'm a scary ghost. And yeah, that's it for my recommendations. Do you have anything else you would like to recommend?
No, I do not.
So, let's do a quick bit of shilling. Oh, I can actually find like a blank web page and it makes the screen more bright so I'm visible again. So you want to start with...
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Tygergamer. You can find me on YouTube as Tygergamer. You can find my Steam at Tygergamer.
And you can find myself at Kralizec Gaming on YouTube and at Kralizec on Steam. We both hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow as the gaming news series returns. See you guys later with more gaming content. And it's your turn to say goodbye.
Yeah, have a good one.
See you guys.